Okay, we now come to our walking clothes.
Earthsea Sky, very lightweight merino t-shirt underneath most days. This is an Outdoor Research sun shirt, very light, did a good job of keeping the sun off. A pair of Kathmandu shorts, which were really good. Don't even show any signs of wear at all. So
that's amazing.
They worked really well. We both had these MacPack Nitro Fleece.
Yeah.
Pullovers.
They're silver bullet. They're amazing.
Yeah. Very thin, but fluffy and lightweight and trap the air. So that's how they keep you very warm. Having the hood was an extra bonus. I'd frequently pop the hood up over top of my cap.
It weighs nothing. Kept us so warm. Okay, for me, my base layer when I was walking, I'm warmer than Vivian. What do you call it? A sun hoodie. And I wore that from Auckland the rest of the way. UPF, I think it's about 35. It just protected me from the sun. And it would dry. I had another shirt, I was stretchy, in UPF 50, but it just didn't dry from when you're sweating, and I was too cold all the time. Where this here would dry, and I much preferred this. And having a sun, I'd use that on certain days. It didn't feel like wearing a cap. I'd wear this and have the hood up and protect me from the sun. Great. So I had some MacPack shorts. Why did we walk in shorts and not longs?
I much prefer walking in shorts. You dry off a lot quicker. Your skin dries off much quicker then.
I had a spare another layer to layer up if it was cold walking, which I didn't really use. Use it on the first day and then never really used it again for walking, but it was always available.
It's the MacPack Trail.
Yeah. But because it's black, it looks good. You know, you could go to a cafe and you didn't look too scruffy on a rest day and that sort of thing.
Very lightweight as well.
But it was available, but I never needed it. I basically just had that sun hoodie and then that nitro fleece, and that kept me warm the whole time. And then if it was really cold, a raincoat to stop the wind. And that worked like a dream for me. Yeah.
Because they're synthetic, they get smelly.
Yeah, you'd walk past a farm and you go, that's not the farm I can smell, that's me. It's pretty bad. It is what it is. I don't like merino because merino, for me, I don't like wearing merino because when it gets wet, it stays wet and I find it cold. Where the synthetic stuff, it dries so quickly, even when it's been raining and it dries and I'm warm again.
Camp clothes, what I change it into at the end of the day. This is a Earthsea Sky silk weight synthetic t-shirt. So that was my town shirt, my sleeping shirt, my camp shirt, my everything other than walking shirt. Basically very lightweight again and warm. My camp or extra layer this is also Earthsea Sky. It's a merino fabric which has it's called power wool, and so it's got a degree of synthetic in it to it, which makes it slightly less itchy if you don't like merino because of the itch. It's quite a comfortable one. Some track pants, Lululemon, were really good for around camp and town and everything else stays. Merino long johns, which I hardly wore, but were there for the cold weather. Towards the end, I added in another merino long sleeve thermal top because I was starting to worry that I wouldn't be warm enough. I use a buff all the time as a temperature regulating thing. I had a fleece beanie, just a hunting and fishing one, and I had a pair of very thin merino gloves, which I wore about 3 times.
Because we did a couple of gear shakedown walks beforehand. We got rid of stuff that we thought, actually, we're not going to use that. So I had a buff. I used it once or twice, to be honest. Didn't use it much at all, but used it on my pillowcase. That was good. So here's my famous orange. It's a MacPack synthetic, trail walking or running.
Trail t-shirt, I think. So
that's my pajamas and my, going to town and at the hut and around the tent and campsite. I liked it. Someone from Europe said to me, I look good in orange. So that's good. I had just an old pair of shorts that I used a few times on hot days when we got into camp. And the other days I had these are old ones as well, just some Adidas, really thin and really light, not warm longs. And if it was really, really cold, like I think the night we camped at Lake Constance, I also had my thermal, that's probably the only time I ever wore them, thermal long johns, smart wool merino. And the top, I also wore these, that's the top and bottom, you know, when we had, everything was in the washing machine and you had to walk around. Well, I had my shorts over top somewhere. So these, never really used these. These were base layers for a really cold. We never had really cold.
But you got to have it anyway, because you just don't know.
I had a different beanie, but I didn't like it. This is one I use for when I'm riding on my motorbike. Just an Earthsea Sky beanie that kept me warm. Had two pair of socks. Balaga, I think they are. I think those socks are really good. I like them. They're comfortable and they stop blisters. Plus, I don't know if it was a good idea or not, I had some, you know, toe socks for at camp, and you can wear jandals with toe socks.
I wore toe socks, the Injinji toe socks the whole way. Both of us did get the odd blister, but no major blister problems for us.
I had, I took a pair of mittens that, you know, are fingerless. I never wore them the whole time. If I would take gloves next time, because with our walking poles, your fingers are exposed. And if it was colder weather, I did get cold hands a couple of times, but those mitten things didn't really do much. So I didn't wear them, no. They were extra weight. I took a handkerchief. I lost one handkerchief. I only took one. Lost one when we canned out of the canoe on the Whanganui River. Bought another handkerchief later. So
I had a hanky, very useful.
It was in my pocket all the time. Just fell out. I had two pair of underpants. You'd wash one pair one day, they're ready for 2 days later. Two pair of socks for walking. So every day the discipline was you wash your undies, you wash your socks. So you got clean ones for the day after tomorrow, and what you're wearing is what you're going to wear tomorrow.
Towards the end, we actually had 3 pairs, which does give you a little bit more capacity should you have a few wet days in a row.
Well, I lost a pair, so I ended up buying 2. So. Wet weather gear.
So we both had jackets, Alpine Series.
From MacPack.
They did the job pretty well.
We sometimes wonder, are these too light? Because they are very light. Worked like a dream. Like going through the Longwoods, we had rain, and they seemed to work fine. So, and we were warm enough. Like we were talking to people in the hut who were they'd got the hut frozen. I was warm. We
also had over trousers.
The Alpine Series,
They're also MacPack Alpine Series ones, which we didn't. You used them once. I think I used them about 3 times for short periods of time. So you need them, even if you don't wear them very often.
They're sort of the only things I didn't really wear much. Well, I didn't wear my thermals because they were for emergency, and we never had an emergency. And I didn't wear the long john. What do you call those leggings? Puffies.
You had.
I bought a new puffy for the TA because my old one I'd worn it out in a way. Yeah. Just ultra. It's an Alpine Series, really thin. MacPack one. And I hardly used it because I had that synthetic fleece sweatshirt.
I had an old lightweight puffer jacket from years ago too that I used it more than you did. I used my puffer jacket quite a lot. I wore a cap most of the time. I debated a lot whether to get a hat with a brim or a Legionnaire's cap like you had, but I wanted the cap so that I could have hoods over it and things like that. I picked up this big floppy MacPack hat in Christchurch when we got to the open exposed Canterbury kind of areas where
Otago.
It got Canterbury Otago. It got a lot hotter, and there was less tree cover, and I didn't use it heaps. I didn't love it, but it did its job. It's quite heavy, so there's probably lighter weight ones, but you know, you've always got the wind to contend with and everything else, so if anything's too lightweight, it's going to blow away. We asked a few questions about the shoes. 98% of TA hikers wear sneakers, not boots.
Well, what are these called? They're called running
trail shoes.
Yeah.
There's some kind of adage, may not be quoting it right, where an extra kilo on your feet is worth 2 on your back or something like that. So that's the main reason people wear lightweight
and they
footwear.
dry. You're in the creek every day, so these dry, whereas boots take forever to dry.
Boots don't dry, you get water inside them and then they dry for days. Wet for days. These you can pull out the liners, the inner soles and help to dry them out. These ones are called New Balance Fresh Foam X Trail More version 3.
And we were the only people we saw wearing New Balance.
Didn't see anyone else.
I think there are other brands that might be a little bit more sturdy, but they're so comfortable.
So you might be able to see there's quite a lot of cushioning there. They had a reasonable kind of tread for grip, but they had this big piece in the middle which didn't have much grip, so it's probably better out there. Vibram soles.
Because, I mean, the feet on the Te Araroa, your feet take the biggest pounding. And I don't mean blisters. Yeah, we got a few blisters, but not many. But just every day, day after day, pounding. You know, the skin gets thicker and thicker and harder, eh?
And in the North Island in particular, but also in the South Island, there's some chunks of road walking, and that's hard on your feet.
Those shoes are so comfortable road walking, and they work fine in the where they work fine in the mountains and whatnot. Where they took a hammering was from basically Ploris Bridge all the way through South Island, through all those river sections, through Richmond Ranges, through to Boyle from Sonata. You know, you're doing all those rocks that you're scrambling down. They really got hammered.
This pair's
nothing.
This pair's not too bad, but the previous pair didn't last as long as it just got really worn out here from all the rock hopping and rock work.
We went through 4 pair. Both of us went through 4 pair. Maybe could have gone through 3.5 pair in a way, because you sort of get to a point where we've changed our shoes here because we're close to a city. You know what I mean? But no. Well, we're happy with the New Balance. Next time, if I do it again, I might explore other brands. But we're talking to someone at a shop that said if it's working for you, stick with it. And they've been working for us for other walks we've done over the last couple of years. So we just stuck with the same brand. The
other thing we added in was gaiters. So these are Katula gaiters, and they're called Insta gaiters. And they work really well. We've used them gaiters for the last few years to keep little stones and little twigs and trash out of your shoes. It's a firm but stretchy material, and it's got this very strong plastic
going underneath
that goes underneath, sits under the tread of your shoe, and they lasted. They're
really good.
Phenomenally good.
What they don't do though is there's a lot of air can get in here and the sneakers across the vent things there. So when you're walking down creeks, and there are some days you just non-stop walking up or down a creek or a stream, sand and grit gets in here. You can't stop that. And so what surprised me is near the end, I went through a couple of pair of socks pretty quick because just sand getting in there and wearing down. That was I hadn't come across that kind of problem before. I don't know how to deal with that.
Different people use different kind of gaiters, but we'd recommend those ones. They're very
light.
hard wear.
And they're so light. Okay, so that's, is that the end of clothes? I've probably forgotten something, but the big thing is just don't take any more than you need to. It's a waste of weight. So that's us signing out on our gear video, which will probably become gear videos